Everyone has their favorite Pokemon, and last year I made a video on my top 10 favorite Pokemon. But obviously since then my opinions have changed quite greatly, and in that list I realized that there was a huge lack in Pokemon type diversity. So today I will be going over my favorite Pokemon of each type. So if you aren't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video, and let's hop in. Now the first type on this list is going to be Grass, and for that I chose Flapple, because in my original list I actually chose Applin to be an honorable mention, because I thought it was really cute. But since then I have used a Flapple in numerous amounts of playthroughs of Gen 8 games, and have grown rather attached to them, including Fruit Salad, my Flapple in my first ever Nuzlocke, and Pie, the Flapple that I used in my Google Translate challenge. Overall, I think this is an amazing looking Pokemon. It's super strong in battle and is just absolutely incredible. It totally deserves my favorite grass type. The next type, being the fire type, was one I was pretty confident that I knew right away, that being Talonflame. Now, in my first ever playthrough of Pokemon Y, which was the first ever Pokemon game that I actually played fully, completely to the end, I used a Talonflame that absolutely carried my team, and I loved it so very much. Its name was Flame, and I just loved the Pokemon so very much for that. It has such an amount of sentimental attachment in my heart for that, and I think it's an absolutely amazing looking Pokemon, and it's super strong in battle too. Totally deserving of my favorite fire type on the list. Now, if you have been watching the channel for any amount of time now, you will have saw this coming. I mean, come on, it's Squirtle. Squirtle is the best Pokemon of all time, and just the cutest one, strongest one, and just the overall best Pokemon ever. And if you disagree, you're wrong. But I even beat a whole Pokemon game with just a Squirtle, and I feel like that alone is enough to prove it as the best Pokemon of all time. It's easily my favorite Pokemon, it's adorable, it's super strong in battle, and it's absolutely also my favorite water type. For my normal type, actually, it was actually a pretty hard decision, because, unbelievably, there are a lot of normal types, but none of them are actually that memorable to me. Although, the one that really stood out to me is Castform. And I know this Pokemon gets a ton of hate, but I just don't get it. It's absolutely adorable, and just so very cute. It's super mediocre in battle, and I just really like the Pokemon, and defending it makes me like it even more. So, all these things together make it my favorite normal type. For the electric type that I decided on, it was actually a really close race between Alolan Raichu and Dedenne, but I just had to go with Dedenne. And while Alolan Raichu is much stronger, Dedenne is just so very cute, and especially in the X and Y anime, which is actually the only anime that I watch like pretty religiously. It's absolutely adorable, really bad in battle, but I've never really used one on a team anyway, and when you're looking for a Dedenne, you're not really using one on a team, so let's be honest, it's just adorable, and that's pretty much it. The Psychic type Pokemon of choice on this list is going to be Meowstic, and much like Talonflame, it's another Pokemon that I used on my first ever playthrough of Pokemon Y, my first Pokemon game. I really like its design, especially the male ones. I like the blue with the white contrast. I think it looks way better than the female ones. It's absolutely a beast in battle, using stab psychic moves to obliterate all your opponents. It's really cute, and overall just an absolutely well-designed Pokemon, and in my opinion, a very underrated one. I feel like not many people really like this Pokemon. I feel like it's like kind of mediocre for most people, and I think that it's really up there. Now for my fighting type of choice, I actually went with Buzzwole, and this might come as a surprise to you, because like many others, I think that the Ultra Beasts are generally speaking very forgettable and honestly pretty ugly. But Buzzwole is a whole nother story. In short, Buzzwole was really good in the trading card game. And when I used to play the card game competitively, which I did for a long time, it was actually my first experience with Pokemon. It was actually the first ever deck that I won a tournament with. I actually won multiple. And just like you develop a love for Pokemon by using them on a playthrough, I did the same by using this Pokemon in tournaments. All these things make it one of my favorite Pokemon overall, and absolutely my favorite fighting type. Next up is the Rock type, and this one is pretty self-explanatory. It's Gigalith, and for pretty much the only reason is that I really like its design. Its normal and shiny form look absolutely incredible, and it was actually one of the first ever Pokemon I went out of my way to shiny hunt. And for that, it holds a special place in my heart. And while I've never used it on a serious playthrough team, well, why haven't I used it on a serious playthrough team? I absolutely should, because I really like it, and it's absolutely a beast of a Pokemon. The next type on the list is the Ground type, of which I choose Tyranitar. It was one of the first ever Pokemon that actually, aside from Squirtle, I ever thought, like, wow, this is a really awesome Pokemon, and it's probably my favorite. And it was for the longest time, aside from Squirtle, obviously, like, come on. I think its Godzilla-like design is absolutely amazing, and it was one of the Pokemon that I used on my first ever playthrough of Pokemon Omega Ruby, so it's just absolutely sick and super powerful and a great Pokemon all around. For the flying type of choice, I went with Corviknight, and much like Flapple, I absolutely love its design, and I used it on so many playthroughs of Gen 8 games that I just have a special place in my heart for it. Sweeping with high stab damage steel moves is an absolute blast. I love its design, and all these things make it one of my favorite Pokemon. Next up is going to be the Bug-type Pokemon. And come on, I think we all saw this coming. It's Snom, the cutest Pokemon and the god of our universe. Hey look, my Snom plushie even agrees. It's just so adorable, and while I've never really used one on a team, you don't really need to love this little guy. It's just one of the best Pokemon and is just so unbelievably adorable. Now the poison type choice was actually very interesting to me because there was no Pokemon that really stood out in this type category to be my favorite Pokemon. But the answer was actually in my electric type spot, because previously Toxtricity had been my favorite electric type Pokemon. But when I couldn't find a favorite poison type Pokemon, it's kind of both, so I kind of just swapped it around. Toxtricity is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time because I've used it literally on every playthrough of Gen 8 games that I've ever done. Unlike Flapple or Corviknight, of which I've used on every one but one, I think, and Toxtricity holds a special place in my heart, especially the low-amped form, the one with the blue electrical stuff coming out of its back. And I really like the Pokemon so very much. It's super strong, especially being able to sweep with Punk Rock and sound moves. It's absolutely amazing, and I love its design. Absolutely one of my favorite Pokemon ever. My Dark-type Pokemon of choice was actually very easy, because it's Zoroark, and it was actually my #1 Pokemon on my top 10 list that I did about a year ago. Which, obviously, that was very incorrect. It's obviously Squirtle, but, like, it's still an awesome Pokemon, and it's probably my #2 if I was realistically making a list. I love its design, and it's just such a cool and strong Pokemon overall, and it was the very first Pokemon that I went out of my way to shiny hunt for. Shiny hunting for a Zorua in Ultra Sun. And I still have it in my copy of Sword and Shield to date. I love the Pokemon, and it's probably my second favorite Pokemon of all time. Obviously behind Squirtle, who's just on another level. Now for my ghost type of choice, I went with Aegislash, because for the same reason that Meowstic and Talonflame are my favorites, I used it on my first ever team of Pokemon Y. I love being able to switch from an absolute attacking monster to a defensive beast, and it's such a super cool and strong Pokemon, and I mean, like, it's a sword. What's not cool about that? Now my favorite ice type was originally going to be Snom, but because I made it my favorite bug type and I didn't really want this list to have any duplicates for the sake of making this video significantly more interesting, I went with Alolan Ninetales. I absolutely love its design concept. It's so amazingly majestic, and I really like the concept of converting a fire Pokemon to an ice type. I used it on my first ever playthrough of Pokemon Ultra Sun, and I really loved it for that too. It's a special attacking monster with its fairy type moves, and its ice type moves are so unbelievably paired well together. I really like its design, and it's just absolutely a really cool Pokemon. Now, the Steel type is one of the only types that I immediately knew the answer to, and that is because of this card right here. Now, the TCG was my first ever real experience with Pokemon, and I used to collect cards ages before I ever played my first game. So this card was one of the first ever EX cards, which is like the good ones and the shiny ones, that I ever pulled out of a Pokemon pack. And for that, I was ecstatic. I still love the Pokemon so much, and honestly, if it weren't for it, I might not be recording this video now and still into Pokemon. I absolutely love Dialga's design, especially even before this. I think that's also what boosted my love for the Pokemon overall. It's absolutely a powerful beast, being a legendary, I mean, like, obviously. And mainly that card is just one of the main reasons that I love this Pokemon so very much, and for that it has the most sentimental attachment to me over any other Pokemon ever. I love the Pokemon so much, and it's so very cool. Now for my favorite Dragon-type Pokemon, Haxorus was the obvious choice, because in my first ever playthrough of Pokemon Y, just like Talonflame and Meowstic and Aegislash, I used a Haxorus, and while it wasn't new in the game, I caught an Axew on one of the routes very early on, and knew I had to use it. I saw those little blades on the side of its head, and I knew that immediately I was going to be in love with that Pokemon. It's such a cool design, it's so powerful, and I honestly have such a place in my heart for Haxorus because of using it on that team so very much. I mean, like, come on, who doesn't like a dinosaur with axes for its teeth? Like, I mean, what could be cooler than that? And finally on this list is going to be the Fairy type Pokemon. And for the Fairy type I went with Grimmsnarl, and I absolutely love its design concept being a Fairy and Dark type. It's such a strong Pokemon, with its moveset and typing being so unbelievably good. I've used it so many times on Gen 8 playthroughs, much like Toxtricity, Flapple, and Corviknight, and it being so good and so strong has just made me like it even more. I love the Pokemon, and it's totally deserving of my favorite Fairy type, and the last Pokemon on this list. And that's going to do it for this list. If you did enjoy this more top 10 style of video, then make sure to let me know. Thank you all so much for watching, I love you all, and peace.